Before I get started with this vid, I do want to apologize real quick if the image is a little bit darker than usual because I really didn't try to set up my lighting like I usually do or anything. I just wanted to really jump right into this. And that's what I always say about my videos on this channel. When I'm passionate about something, when I'm feeling it at that moment, I just want to jump right into it and go ahead and talk about it. So this is something I would definitely not address at all on my main channel. My main channel, is all about my collectibles and just the nerdy things I'm into. Whereas with this channel, this segment here is a real talk segment, and I really want to be true to that, to get into real talk and address topics that I just, would leave out on my other channel. So this topic here is one that I'm sure is going to come up multiple times, from sporadically here on my channel, this channel, Thinking Out Loud. And because it is such an issue in this country. I mean, it's an issue around the world, but definitely in this country, racism is a big problem. And to me, okay, it's a big problem, but at the same time, it's just it's a lot simpler to deal with than people make it out to be. I think people can be really small-minded, and that's where so much of this racism comes from. It's because the idea of everybody getting along is just too big of a concept for some people. I mean, it's been over 25 years now since I think it's been over 25 years now since Rodney King, after his whole incident with the LAPD, he said, can't we all just get along? And people laughed at him. People made a mockery of him. But he had the right idea. We should be able to just get along with each other. It's not that difficult. But that idea, again, is just too big for small minds. And that's why people try to find ways to divide themselves. It's not just about skin color and gender and where you come from and all those different things. Because I guarantee if everybody on this planet had the same skin color, then it would be something else. It would be something else that people would find to split themselves up. And we really are divided in some ways, but I don't think that race is really the big issue. And really the proper term is ethnicity, because we are the human race. There's one race. We're the human race. So people misuse that term all the time. It's really ethnicity. But we do have our differences, but I just don't think that skin color, in your cultural background is really something should be a big focus. Really, what to me matters a lot more in this country is socioeconomic status. That's what's really important in this country. It's so ignorant to me that a lot of the racism that you see is really poor people to middle class people going back and forth with each other, while the people that are really wealthy in this country, the only color they're really concerned about is green. And I think they're smart enough to realize that there are a lot of things that they can do to distract the majority of the population in this country so that we don't really strive for real wealth. We don't really organize ourselves in a proper way. I mean, you look at Occupy Wall Street, what did that accomplish? I mean, nothing. It was so disorganized. It was nothing like what you see in other countries. I mean, places like France, when the people organize, changes get made by the government. I think the government respects it because the people really get together, they take action, things happen. Now, it is unfortunate sometimes that it turns to violence, but the people do really organize and make a difference. That doesn't happen enough in this country because people can't get it together because we're so distracted by petty little things. So, the people that are really in power in this country, that small percentage that had most of the wealth, most of the power, they love to distract us with things like, drugs, alcohol, celebrity news, getting all caught up in that, and racism. Racism is really one of the biggest distractions in this country. And it's so ridiculous. Like I said, socioeconomic status is so much more important. Why would a person they don't make any more money than I do, they're going, living paycheck to paycheck like I am, and yet they want to try to put me down and say that, they're choosing a certain politician just because of what their race is, and they hate another politician just because of what his race is. They can't even really talk politics. All they're looking at is ethnicity. But they're not even looking at the fact that we're in the same boat. You may not live in my neighborhood, but you're making about the same amount of money, facing the same types of issues, paying bills that sometimes are kind of exaggerated, and the healthcare being kind of abused by the healthcare system, which is a joke in this country as well. I could do a whole another video about that. So yeah, a lot of people just don't see that. When it comes down to it, socioeconomic status terms, we're really in the same boat. So us going back and forth with each other over skin color is just ridiculous. And I think another reason that so many people do follow along with racism is because they're cowards. I mean, just to be blunt about it, they're cowards. You have some people that cannot stand on their own too, so they feel like they have to group up with other people. And the only way that they feel that they can connect with these other people is by being against another group. So that's what they do. And they, and ethnicity is such a simple thing to do, to feel like you fit in. I think that's why, within the prison system, people pretty much have to stick with their own ethnicity, because it's just that very simple-minded way of grouping yourselves together. So I really don't want to kind of ramble on with this video, because like I said, I'm definitely going to address the issue of race more so in the future. But when it comes down to it, again, like I said, socioeconomic status, how much money you make, how you live day to day, that matters a lot more than race. And if you can only see me from my skin color, that's just so simple-minded. I can't say that enough. It's really simple-minded thinking. And something else, I do want to address this before I wrap up this first video here dealing with, the issues of race. Obviously in this country, one big issue that we have is, police brutality towards African Americans, which I really don't even prefer that term. And I might as well go ahead and address this real quick. Why I don't like the term African American. And I know people feel like, well, you can't say anything, but I'm fine with black. I'll take that. That's never really bothered me. There are some people that are ignorant enough to use the word black in a negative way, and yes, including black people, we use the word black in a negative way, which is just so stupid in my book. But if you really think about it in this country, okay, we tend to say, okay, there are whites. And then some people say, well, African American, Asian American, Latin American. Well, why don't we have terms like British American? Whatever you want to call it, English American or whatever, because they have an origin too. But I think that's what is basically going on there. And I'm not saying that all white people are like this, but definitely some of the founders of this country and people that are in power in this country even now, they feel like this is basically their country and everybody else are basically visitors. So that's why they want to attach our origin to the term American. And it's almost like we should be privileged to be here or something. But yeah, if to me, I'll just say it this way, and I'm saying this very bluntly. If you are not Native American, you might as well shut your mouth trying to make claims to this country. And I'm going to say that again because to me it's so true. If you are not Native Americans, you might as well shut it up trying to make any claims to this country, because you don't own it. Okay, Native Americans, they were here. The first people that really settled in this country, and established life in this country. So if you're not part of that group, and I'm talking full-blooded, you might as well shut your mouth about that nonsense, because you don't own this country. I don't care who you want to say helped build the country. Really, if you were really real about it, all ethnicities helped to build this country up. People from many places helped to build this country up. And I'm talking about, people especially that did the hard work, not people that just sat in offices, writing up policies or whatever and passing all the work along to other people. And by the way, if you're trying to look at me and say that I'm being racist, cut the ignorance out, because no, I'm not addressing a complete group. I don't do that nonsense. I recognize that not all people are the same. No people within one ethnicity are all the same. Yeah, like I said, I think it's just such a distraction for people to keep focusing on racism and feeling like they have to be racist and acting like they don't understand. And I was about to hit on this before with police brutality and like why do black people feel the need to say Black Lives Matter, and oh, we say Black Lives Matter, then people want to say, well, blue lives matter and all lives matter. Yeah, of course all lives matter, of course police lives matter, but they're not the ones getting shot down every day and having their, basically the people that attack them, get away with it. So when people say that term Black Lives Matter, I just can't stand when people play dumb and act like they don't understand why that term exists, why that idea exists. That's what really annoys me about racist people. They're conveniently dumb at times. Very conveniently dumb. They act like they don't understand. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to leave it at this final thought. I know I said I was going to wrap it up before, but again, obviously I'm passionate about this. But the only thing that you have to understand me is to know that you're alive and you want to stay alive. You appreciate your life. That's all that you have to understand. So if you get pulled over by a police officer and you're annoyed because you're probably going to be late to where you're headed to, and you're annoyed because you might get a ticket and you're going to have to pay that fine and all that, in the grand scheme of things, that's not such a problem. When I get pulled over and I'm wondering, is this cop having a bad day? Is it going to pull me out of the car? Is this going to lead to me being attacked? Is this going to lead to me getting shot? That's a big difference. That's really a big difference. So again, if you can't understand the term Black Lives Matter, I think you're just being conveniently dumb. I'm going to be blunt about that. And if you don't like it, oh well. This is Real Talk. This is my channel. That's the way I'm keeping it here. And I know some people haven't seen me like this before, but when I'm passionate about something, I'm real. So, people that are cool with me, regardless of ethnicity, I really love you to death. I can't say that enough. Especially the community that I've been dealing with on Funko, the people I've really connected with. That's the main thing I love about us, is that we do come from all these different backgrounds, but we're connected because we have common interests. That's beautiful. That's the way that it should be amongst all people, so that's what we should be focused on. What do we have in common? And just, like I say this all the time, it's not that difficult to be nice to each other. It's really not. It's not that difficult just to respect each other. And, there will be times when we just have to agree to disagree. We don't have to argue even. So it's very simple. And going back to Rodney King, can't we all get along? Maybe that idea is way too big for some people. But in my eyes, it's pretty simple. So yeah, I think this is probably one of the realest Real Talk videos I've had this far. And like I said, I will touch on this topic some more in the future. Definitely looking forward to hearing constructive feedback. Any trolls or anything like that happen across this video. If you want to act ugly, I'll block you. I'll move on. That's the way I handle it. I'm not going to be dragged down into some nonsense. So that's all there is to that. That's not going to shut me up. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and you all take care till next time.